Welcome to the BrightWord Books podcast. BrightWord is a leading platform for diverse storytelling, where voices from all backgrounds can share their unique narratives and connect with readers from around the world. Follow our regular podcast updates, where we strive to foster a literary community that celebrates creativity, inclusivity, and the transformative power of literature. Welcome to the BrightWord Books podcast. I'm your host, John Lobb, and it's my honor to be joined today by Steve Burkart, author of the action-adventure novel, The Master Hacker. Recognized as one of the best indie books of 2018, Master Hacker was also a finalist in the action-adventure fiction category in the 2018 Next Generation Indie Book Awards. Steve spent 22 years in military intelligence and has in-depth personal experiences of counterintelligence work during the 1980s, sometimes referred to as the decade of spies. What an intriguing background indeed. Steve, welcome to the program. We're so pleased that you're with us today.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Well, it's great to talk to you. Looking back now, what's the most surprising thing you've learned about yourself since the book was released?
Well, I think the most surprising thing was that I could write a good story. I
Okay.
think I found it interesting. It was a challenge. It took some time, but putting some thought into it and that sort of thing, it made me see that it's still possible to see good books.
Absolutely. And in a world that is so filled with video and social media and artificial entertainment, so to speak, a good story, a good old fashioned book certainly has a place in this world.
I think it does. I agree with you. We need more of it.
How about the concept of freedom? Obviously, a lot of the work that you did in intelligence was based on protecting our country and protecting freedom. Has your perspective on the concept of freedom changed at all over the years?
No, I don't think so. I think freedom is one of those few things in life that if you want it, you're going to have to fight for it somewhere. It's either going to be through pen and paper or it's going to be through gunfire. Peace and freedom, these are things that are just going to take more than, yeah, I think we ought to have that.
It's not just a convenience, in other words, it's a
No,
right that has to be earned and fought for.
exactly.
Indeed. Indeed. I know two of the characters are, and correct me if I'm pronouncing them wrong, I apologize, SunHee and Darque? Is that
Dark.
right? Dark. SunHee and Dark. Have, any of the reactions you've gotten to the book since the publication made you think differently about either character or perhaps the actions that these characters took in the course of the novel?
No, I think they pretty much followed like a storyline. They talked together, the two talked together on several occasions about what was happening. And he had a feeling that the way things would go, which they did, but was not a good ending for her. Now he is the head of a covert unit that contains both military and civilian scientists and personnel. So his job is the main character. He keeps the thing flowing through his interaction with the other characters, especially with Sun He, who is from North Korea, who was helping the Chinese in a project, and he's the one that I think he's the one that keeps it flowing.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Does either character have any, do you think, hidden motivations that perhaps the casual reader doesn't pick up on it instantly?
I don't think so. I don't think they have individual motives. Her motive is trying to save her country, her countrymen. His motive and the motive for the entire group is to try to maintain the balance of power throughout the world. So he takes on challenges that are beyond what is read in the newspapers. So he goes deep cover to carry out whatever activities he's charged to do.
Excellent, excellent. And Sun He's objective seems noble indeed. If you could sit down to have lunch or dinner with Sun He, if she came to life, anything you'd want to ask her, or conversely, is there anything that you'd want to tell her, maybe warn her about?
I think the book itself did that in several occasions where they would talk. She came to visit him, and they talked there. And her thing was she has tremendous computer knowledge, far beyond anybody. And now that's part of the story. But her computer knowledge is such that she's concerned that if she lets Darque have this, that he could misuse it, or whoever replaces him at whatever time that he gets out of the business. She's concerned about where it would go. So she gives him a one-time use for this. And that's what the story is based on, is how she figures out what to do. And it's really kind of a story about going on today of what people are looking for with the Golden Dome and all of this kind of stuff. There is a way in there to do that. Now, is it possible? I have no idea. I don't know that much about computers. But the thing is it plausible? And I think it is. And so it would take somebody in government to read this and say, I wonder if we really could do this, you know. And I think it could be done. But that's my opinion, you know.
Well, it's a valid opinion indeed. Just thinking back, Steve, you were in the world of intelligence and spies in the 1980s. Thinking back to the technology that existed then, the computers, state-of-the-art computers then versus what's happening today, it must be both light years ahead for intelligence gathering and in many ways, perhaps also a bigger challenge in intelligence gathering with the ability people have to use technology for nefarious purposes.
That's true. Back when I first started, we didn't know what a computer was. So, and that was about the mid '80s, and it was just getting to the point where they were talking about computers, and that maybe we ought to get a couple. So the thing is, today it's just a minor thing. Like you say, we had radios, two-way radios that we wore, but today you can do it all on a cell phone. I mean, you can call each other. Everybody's got a cell phone. You can't walk down the street and find people that don't have cell phones.
So
You know,
true.
now are they spying? I don't know. Could they be? Sure. Are they just talking to each other? Possible. But the thing is, just that one little piece of technology has turned the world around. And the fact that you can gather data from those when other people use them, you know, it makes it kind of a sticky weapon, you know, it works both ways.
Absolutely. Double-edged sword.
Yes, it is.
In writing the novel, Steve, there must have been some portions, maybe some subplots or some themes that you simply couldn't include everything for the purpose of pacing or maybe keeping the novel from being too long. Was there anything that didn't make the final cut that you kind of wished had done so?
No, it really went just about as long as I thought it should to
Mhm.
make a good read. And the whole idea is it's just a story, you know, and people will say, well, this is not fact, it's not written as fact. There are facts in it, but people would have to know what those are in order to take advantage of those facts. But I think in itself, it's about as long as it should really be to be a good novel. And there are a lot of incidents in it that keep it moving pretty well, you know. So that's what I was aiming for. Like I say, ulterior motives, it's pretty much up front. But there are things like trying to have peace and this kind of stuff, which is peace will never exist as we choose to look at it. You're never going to get a world where everybody's happy with where they're at. It ain't going to happen. So there will never be peace as long as there's one person who doesn't like it. Whatever it is that's going on, you're not going to have peace. So you're going to have
Just
a lot
human
of
nature. Human nature, right?
even the riots going on today in this country. They're not going to find peace. Somebody's going to get hurt, you know, and then they'll decide, well, we're going to have to change this law and change this law. whatever. But the book itself is, there really is no such thing as peace, really. We wish there was, and we pray for it, and we hope there will be, but that's, you can put that in one ear and let it go out the other. It's not going to change. It's
And
human nature.
that's perhaps another part of being human, right? Is we'll never achieve peace, but the human side of us is always going to yearn for it.
You're going to have to accept certain things you don't like in order to get through life. It's not everything is, you're not going to get everything your way, and you have to understand that going in. Plus, you only get one life. Do
That's
the
right.
best with it. Decide what you're willing to fall on your sword for. A lot of stuff is not worth it.
Absolutely. In talking about the symbolism of the story, obviously politics and global dynamics were one thing in the 90s and the era of Reagan and Gorbachev. And today it's a different world. And yet we have some of the same disagreements, some of the same struggles. As you framed it, it's because really we'll never get to where we want to be, even though we keep striving.
Well, the problem with today is, and this is an opinion, Putin wants to reestablish the old Soviet Union. That's his whole goal in life. He's not going to stop until he's dead. And, people keep coming up saying he's got cancer and he's got this and he's got that and the other thing, but it won't stop, maybe even after that. However, we can hope that once the flag changes hands as to who's in power, maybe there will be hope for a better world. And maybe there will be whatever people want to define as peace might come about. I hope so. I doubt it, but I hope so. He's too ingrained now for anybody to go up against him because they just disappear. They fall out of windows and things like that. So, maybe when the dialogue changes, when they start realizing that you don't have to fight wars and kill off half your population, who knows?
A couple of the other themes in your book, Steve, are themes of guilt and redemption. Do you feel like any of the characters truly find peace at the end of the day?
There's only a couple of the characters that I really focus on. I mean, there's a lot of side characters, and they don't really play that kind of a role. But as for the main characters, do they really find peace? I think they find peace because they understand there is no peace. You have to accept certain things and try to
And
change.
learn to live with it, right?
Yeah, but in the end, you have to live with it and try to do the best you can with it. And I think there are spots in there in the story itself where people will see when they read it that he does hope, but he also knows that it's kind of fruitless to just hope. You have to carry out the action sometimes. And that's where he and SunHee talk together, and she does what she does and he does what he does. And they both get solutions. Are they good ones? Who knows?
But they work towards solutions.
But they work towards them.
Steve, if there's one message, one idea, one concept, and just one that a reader would take away from the novel, what would that be?
In my own mind, I think it's to understand that espionage is global. We have it, everybody else has it. There's no country in the world that doesn't have spies. But the thing is, what are their motives? And we look at James Bond and we say, well, he was the greatest spy ever. James Bond was never a spy. He was a counter spy. He didn't go into countries and try to create stuff. He went into countries that were already creating stuff and trying to figure out a way to stop it.
Yep. And disable what they were doing.
Yeah. So he was never a spy, you know. But the thing is, we don't understand sometimes the difference and how we should look at it. The whole goal now is, again, trying to maintain the balance of power. And this is where we're at right now in the real world. When you talk to people who want nothing to do than fight battles and wars and even drag people in from other countries, 30 or 40,000 of them at a time so they can be cannon fodder. Now, it would seem to me like somebody in charge of that country would say, I don't think we want to give you any more people, not the way they're being used, but that's not going to happen because you're always going to have that little group that wants to stick together to control the world. And even they can't decide how they want to do it. They each want to do it their own way, you know. So that's why you need Darque in there to keep the balance there, so they don't
Keep the
go.
balance.
Yeah.
What part of writing the novel did you find most rewarding? Was it the research? Was it thinking back to your days in the business?
Not really. The most rewarding part is weird. My mother always wanted an author in the family, and
And you
she had
delivered.
kids. She had 9 kids, and I retired. I said, "Okay, I'll write you a book."
I
So
love it.
I wrote the first one, which was the orchestration, and I asked her because she lived long enough to read it, and I said, "What did you think of?" She said, "I don't understand it all, but it seemed pretty good." So if somebody comes up to me and they says, "I read your book and I think it's pretty good," that's okay with me. People have their own opinions when they start reading somebody else's opinions. You don't always agree. You don't always disagree either.
Has there been any criticism, any, thoughts from any readers that didn't like your message or didn't like the story?
I haven't read any comment from any person that did not like the book.
That's
And
great.
they said they thought it was well written. It depicted, it showed what's going on. It shows what went on. And all the clues that I put in there throughout the book are all addressed. Nothing is left hanging there. You won't read the book and say, well, he mentioned this back on page 3, but he never mentioned it again. That never happened because if I put it in there, there was a reason for it. And if there's a reason for it, it may not be on the next page, but you'll find it somewhere in the book.
Excellent. So SunHee and Dark, they don't leave any strings left undone, but will we possibly see them continue in another novel?
Not SunHee, because she's dead.
Okay. Okay.
So she's not going to appear anywhere other than in my mind, I guess. But the
Will there
thing is,
be a SunHee-like character?
no, not really, because all of the characters, even in the first book, there was a character like that, which was the main opposition area, I guess, or the person who wanted to try to do something and couldn't, But everybody has a role in the books, and I think they're all put together pretty well. Nobody's a hero. They just do their job. They do their job well. And the thing is, are there people in there that save other people's lives? Yes. But it's just part of their job. So they move on. So the characters move on. But it was, I don't think that it would be good to put another character in there like that because then you start copying characters and you start copying what they do. And then you no longer have a new novel. You're just repeating something.
Absolutely. So speaking of new characters, are there any brand new concepts that you're working on? New stories?
I had one in my mind, but I don't think so. And I have um, physical reasons for not going further. I'm declining, and I'm 82 now. And the thing,
82 years young.
well, okay, if you say so. We'll see when you get to 82 what you say about it.
Okay.
But uh, I don't think I'm going to write any more characters. But I left it open so that somebody could write one. I mean, if they wanted to or if they chose to. There was a thought in my mind one time about how to do another one, but I don't think I want to put that kind of time into it again. So I'm happy the way those three went, and I think they turned out to be a good group.
Absolutely, and I'm certain a lot of people agree with you based on the five-star reviews I see and the positive feedback. I think you did your mother proud by writing.
Well, she'll be pleased.
Indeed. Well, Steve, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you. Thank you for visiting with us today and sharing some more of your thoughts about the book and about your experience in the world of spycraft. It's just absolutely fascinating.
I appreciate being here and seeing your interest. Because I think, like I said, I think they're good books. I think they tell good stories. It's not going to be Superman 27 or whatever's being popular. It's different.
Absolutely.
It will, and I think it will get interesting if people were to read it.
Absolutely. And I thank you for enlightening me about the fact that James Bond was never really a spy. I never realized that. And yet, what your explanation makes perfect sense.
Yeah, but he was still good.
It's still good. Absolutely. He never lost.
There you go.
Steve, it's been wonderful. We've been visiting with Steve Burkart, author of The Master Hacker, available on Amazon, Barnes& Noble, and everywhere fine books are sold. We'll see you next time. You've been listening to the BrightWord Books Podcast, home of the literary community that celebrates creativity, inclusivity, and the transformative power of literature. Don't forget to subscribe so you'll never miss future episodes. Until next time, stay informed and stay engaged.